All right, guys, we're going to talk to y'all about how to choose a broadhead. We got a whole bunch of different ones here. We're going to try to remain as objective and helpful as possible. We've got your mechanical head there. What's that? Probably 125, something like that. And Ranch has got Ranch Fairy head.
Single bevel.
200 grain. And I've got a Magnus Stinger with bleeder blades. This is a 150. And then a 150 grain cutthroat.
And that's
Single
a double.
That's a double bevel with bleeders on it. Now, there's all kinds of different broadheads you can go with. We'll just kind of talk about pros and cons of some different ones. But the first thing I wanted to start with was price point. Oh, Zinger, look out. Sharp on you.
Pretty dull.
A lot of people are concerned about the price. Best budget broadheads for people. Mechanicals, cut on contact, whatever. I'm talking $60 or less for 3 of them.
It's hard to beat Mike's head just for the warranty. It's made in USA. Magnus. He's been around for 30 years. That's a really hard head to beat as far as having a broadhead that's just going to do everything for you and have a great price point.
He's got a bunch of different varieties of weights too. You can buy Magnus Stingers. This is a Stinger 150 with the bleeders. You can buy a Stinger 150 without the bleeders. You can buy 125s. I think he's got 100s. Head shoots 125 Hornets. They've got a bunch of offerings, and you can find Magnus in a lot of different places. They're available widely, and they're that cheaper price point that a lot of people want to stay at. These heads, we do like to sharpen them after we get them out of the package, but they come out of the package pretty dang sharp. Yeah, if you break one for whatever reason, Mike will replace it, I think.
Right. And the blades are replaceable. So that's a beautiful thing about that. You pull that screw out, and you can get the bleeder blades out, you can get the main blade out, and just replace them, or you can hand sharpen them. You can pull it out, sharpen it, stick it back in.
Or you just buy 3 more, because they're not that expensive.
Yeah.
So
I think a big part of that, though, too, is the availability. When you're looking for broadheads, if you go to a store, probably not going to find a whole bunch of packages of the cutthroat.
You're sure not going to find these.
Yeah.
These are all a little bit website based.
yeah, these are machine steel and just take longer to build, and they can't build as many of them. So if you're going this route, you need to be proactive and be thinking about that ahead of time. But you can find the Magnus stuff in a lot of places. You can go into your Cabela's or Bass Pro, and
All
they've
the
got
big
them.
retailers have
Yep.
these guys.
Buy them online from Mike is what I would suggest at the Magnus site.
And things like this and replaceable blades, which we don't have any of those, but things like Muzzies, Slick Tricks, stuff like that are ones that come to mind where you can get those readily available at your local sporting goods store.
You got kind of 2 options if you're going to stay in the lower price point, like under $50, if you will. You can go cut on contact with Magnus, this type of stuff, or they got lots of replaceable blades, like Zinger was talking about. They got replaceable 3-blade Muzzies and stuff, and then he's got 3-blade. I think that's a G5 mechanical. Most of the mechanicals that are out there are, $49.95 for a 3-pack or $39.95, and you shoot them once, throw them away, go buy them again. Now, as you go up in cost, you go up in steel quality. Like you get up here in the single bevel cutthroat, you're talking $60, $70, $80 for a 3-pack. Then you get up here to this is the Cadillac.
Yeah.
That
$90 for 3.
Yeah.
The advantage to the one-piece heads, and it doesn't have to be these brands, is you can shoot them and shoot them and shoot them and shoot them.
Resharp and go again. Yeah, I mean, I shot an elk and like 3 deer with one head. Just kept on going.
So, and there's a lot of weights of these type of broadheads as well. I have to edit that out.
We did a Hot Ones challenge earlier. We're still battling the heat a little bit.
What are you torture?
About? You're not peeping.
So anyway, we're all big proponents of shooting your broadheads a lot, especially if you shoot past 40. You need to tune your arrows and stuff. You can probably get away with it at whitetail distance inside of 30. Just shoot field points and go to broadheads. I don't recommend it, and these guys sure as heck don't recommend it.
Heck no.
But you can probably get away with it. But if you're going out west and you think you're going to shoot 70, you need to shoot the whole platform. Broadhead, shooting a lighted knock, put it on, and launch them out there. We all know we've talked to the Rocket Man about lift. This device is just less aerodynamic. All of them.
Even the
this
mechanical.
Guy,
Even
this
the mechanical.
guy's blunt
Yep.
and gonna drag in the wind up here. It is not as efficient as a field point. It's not really, there's no battle here. It's draggier. So if you're gonna shoot a long way, you may actually have to redo your tape if you've got a single pin like you've got for broadheads, and then practice with field points and just accept they shoot higher or whatever.
Yeah.
But your broadheads have to hit.
Either way, though, people buy a 3-pack of broadheads and they say, we're good. You need to factor in at least 1 or 2 of those broadheads are going to be practice heads. Now, these you can practice with and sometimes get them back to resharp and go hunting with them. But most of the time, if I'm going buying broadheads for the season, I'm buying at least 6. So be thinking about that when you're budgeting your money aside to buy broadheads.
Right.
If I'm shooting a Magnus head, I'll designate 1 as my practice head and keep that set aside in my little box over there. I got practice heads in one spot, and then I got my sharp head separated in another. But never buy just 3 heads. Some kits come with 3 heads and a practice head of some kind. I don't know if I'd recommend even shooting those. Just shoot the real thing. Now the next thing we'll talk about is what to expect. What can each one of these broadheads do? Because they're all a tool and they all do something a little bit differently. And you need to have realistic expectations about what they can and cannot do. That is the most important thing in this whole conversation. Mechanicals, we'll start with these. When these work, especially the big cutting mechanicals, they're terrifying.
Like it.
Like they cut a giant hole. That Ted shot that pig yesterday in the shoulder when we were out here practicing, and it cut a 2-inch hole in the pig. The problem is behind that hole he hit a bone, and this thing went in 1.5 inches, and it didn't get into the chest cavity. So that's the issue. If you're shooting through soft tissue, mechanicals can work. And we've heard some folks say, you go up and wait, go up and forward to center, and the mechanicals will punch through. That wasn't our experience yesterday when we were testing on that pig. 600 grain arrow with a mechanical and a heavy insert on the front, almost 0 penetration when it hit bone. These things, no bones.
If you're wondering about that, Newton's third law gets in the way there. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the resistance level of something that's very wide and blunt, like the mechanicals on bone, if you add mass, it's just the tissue is going to push back harder. It's just straight physics.
The next one is your standard cut on contact double bevel. This one's got bleeders, but insert bleeders, take them out, shoot them, just 2 blades, whatever. Double bevel cut on contacts. There's a wide variety of these ranging in price. We talked about Magnus being the lower price point. You can find iron wheels. There's all sorts of double bevels out there. And solid 3-blade heads even. I mean, there's all kinds of things that carry a double bevel blade on it.
The one thing I would say, if y'all are looking at different, because everybody's looking at the web and comparing broadheads, and I would look for something with back set bleeder blades if you're going to shoot bleeder blades. See, what I mean by that, they're not up here sitting by the point. That allows the broadhead to penetrate into, and say you dead center a rib, it's going to anchor and keep going before them bleeder blades hit it.
Yeah.
I've not had very good results personally with some of the stuff I've been sent to test that has the bleeder blades up front. All you want these to do is open the tissue a little bit. And quite frankly, you're better off having thin bleeder blades, because if they snap, if you hit a rib dead center, they snap off, guess what? This baby keeps going.
Keeps going. That's the main deal right there. Double bevel expectations, replaceable 3 blades. I'm lumping all those together because the blades are the
replaceable.
Same. And when any of those cut on contact style heads, 3 blades or standard double bevels hit, they stop spinning. Like they're spinning through the air, then they hit whatever you're shooting at, whether it's a target or a deer or a pig or whatever, and it stops and it drives in. And we've had decent success getting these through bones,
especially like
a high penetrating head, ribs.
Rib cage, nothing for
this. The one thing I would caution you with the double bevels is that they don't split bone. So there's more, what's the right word?
I always say
cut it.
They cut it, but they don't open it up. They don't crack it and open it up. So there's a lot of drag on the arrow on the arrow shaft as it's going through, and that can rob you of some penetration when you're shooting through really heavy bones with these. So if you want the next step up, if you want something that is designed to split and break bone, you've got to go with a single bevel. This tool, it rotates through the air just like the double bevel, but then your potato example, Dr. Ed's potato example is awesome.
Dr. Ed's potato example is
It
awesome.
shows exactly what these things do. When they hit the bone, they continue to rotate through the animal, and it splits the bone and frees up that space on the shaft.
So I want to address something on that, though, because a lot of people think this thing's a hole saw. Like, they think it's going to take off and spin. We're talking about it rotating from here to about there through a deer's rib cage. Okay, you hit something harder, it'll rotate more. I have rarely seen more than 1 full rotation thorax to thorax on anything. And interestingly, if you hit between the ribs, they don't rotate as much because there isn't force in Newton's third law.
There's nothing pushing back against it.
It'll push back some.
Yeah.
It won't be like horizontal to horizontal or this angle. But they don't speed up real fast. They don't turn into a hole saw. They're not whipping in there. One advantage you have to that is, though, the broadhead is rotating, so the wound has actually got a little spiral to it. It's longer. And
because it's wrapping the tissue and cutting
absolutely, right. It's
this is just slicing straight.
It's not going to be a hole. It's just going to be in the lung tissue. You'll see it just like that. It's a little longer. So a double level head will hit, stop rotating, and it will travel. It'll go straight through on a line, and that cuts this long.
Same with any 3-blade.
When this hits and it rotates that much, it's just a little longer. They also cut on a bias. When you look at the whole broadhead, both of these points are not on the same plane. So what that means is your uppercut is over here. I'll have to give that to you, not in my mouth. How's that? They're actually cutting like this. Even if it were to go straight, they're still cutting on a bias. And then the third thing about them is they are 50% sharper by virtue. If this was a double bevel, it would have a bevel over here and it would be shaped like that.
Yep.
A single bevel is shaped like that.
Flat on one side.
They're 50% sharper or less angled, okay? That's why the steel quality's got to go up. If you make single bevels out of really inexpensive stainless, when you take the double bevel away and you do this, they'll just fold over. I've tested a bunch of heads that were sent to me and stuff that were made out of OK steel, and literally it would just roll over.
Rolls. Yep.
Now I'm going to give you one expectation for these. All single bevel heads. On a pass-through shot out of a tree stand, if you hit the ground, expect one of the blades to be really dull. I can't explain why both aren't.
Yeah, it always happens that way.
I've pulled them that far out of the sand down here because it's soft as hell down here, right? So it'll bury in at 10 inches. You pull it out, and one side is dull as a hammer.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the other side's like, hey, everything was fine. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Dr. Ed, maybe you know.
So I think it's a best way to group these is mechanical, soft tissue, no bone. Double bevel right here, kind of your all-purpose head. It can do a lot of things, but I would caution against really heavy bone with those. That would be where I'd pump the brakes on these. And then single bevels, if you tend to hit forward and into the heavy bones.
Quarter and two shots.
Quarter and two shots. Like we were talking yesterday a little bit, I've shot one deer in the guts ever. Where I have problems is hitting them forward.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I've always aimed really tight. So if I'm going to miss, it's going to be forward. And I missed that big buck a couple years ago at 15 yards. I hit him right in the ball and socket with that head, and that bone looked like that dang potato in that video.
Yep.
Like the bone split, and this thing turned, the bone split, and I killed him because the arrow went clear through and killed him, got both lungs.
You couldn't
watching
hit
the
that
offside.
humorous ball any more dead
Hit the
center.
middle of the ball and socket, the worst place that you want to shoot in the
Absolutely.
front of the deer. And that thing did the work. You know, blood trails aside on all of this stuff, because we believe blood trails are unpredictable. It totally depends on what you hit as far as arteries and stuff. We've got videos out on that. This is your heavy bone tool. That's the one that is designed to split it and free it up and get better penetration through heavy bones.
Especially the more I watch elk hunting, and I'm the worst elk hunter ever. If you ever hear that I drew your unit, just don't go. All the elk leave. But elk hunting is a really interesting thing to watch. I'm kind of a dork, so I just watch the shots and I want to see the arrow performance. There's so many animals that come at them.
Yeah.
You shot two in the front.
I shot
You
one
in the front.
I shot two in the front.
Yeah.
I shot one in the front and lost it. And then I shot one in the front and killed it. And the one in the front that I lost was because my arrow deflected. And we just filmed a video about arrow deflection and shooting through brush and stuff yesterday. So you can watch that.
Right.
That's on the channel. But yeah, frontal shots are very common. And they're deadly on elk.
Right,
If you
but
can
you've
put the
got-
arrow in the right place.
Arrow's got to get into them. I still go back
True.
to the, I don't know how long ago it was when you wouldn't shoot. You've got a video of an elk, he's right there, like from here to the truck.
Oh yeah, in Arizona.
And you went,
Yep, I didn't shoot him. I passed it up
can't
at
do
10
that.
yards. I
I
passed it up.
can't do that. I bet you wouldn't now.
I was shooting at the time a 400 some grain arrow with a 125 grain replaceable 3-blade broadhead, and I had no confidence that it could go through there. And that was the only shot I got. He saw me, and that was it. I had several seconds to shoot him through that, heavy bone structure in the front, but I did not have the tools to do it. You got to go way up in arrow weight, and you've got to be shooting a single bevel. I've heard in the last couple years a lot of guys that shoot double bevels with medium weight arrows, 500 grains, that say, yeah, I've gone right through shoulder bones and all kinds of stuff. Well, you can do some work with these, definitely, but this thing stops, just like a 3-blade. It does not rotate and split the bone like a single bevel will. So it's not going to get through there as efficiently as a single bevel. That is your bone breaking tool.
I also think a disclaimer for that is as much as we like the single bevel for heavy bone, that's limited to your smaller big game animals. Like if I'm going elk hunting, even if I got a big heavy arrow, I'm not trying to split that humerus ball joint like Aaron.
Not
did.
trying to do that.
No.
I mean,
But it's there.
yeah, it's there.
And-
Whether you're trying to do it or not, it's there.
But I still would be a little hesitant to just try to break it. Where with a deer, I feel more confident. Like your smaller game animals.
Yeah,
I think
pronghorns.
Pronghorn I would
Yep.
think twice about trying to break that bone, and even the deer with the higher quality single bevel broadhead. But I do think, like you said a million times, having that plan B
Yeah.
is
Just keep your expectations in check. However, that's what we're trying to do with this video, is just show you what they can and what they can't do. That way you can make your decision and pick the right one for you.
Think about the last few deer you've shot. If y'all are swinging out of trees hunting public, it's one of the things I saw about you guys. If the angle y'all get, here comes the deer, there goes the deer. Like here, They come up to the deer feeders. You can really wait for
You can wait for your shot.
Morning wait shot. We do it on the pigs. We just let them mosey around, and then you can get the angle you want. But if you're public, elk, calling, rattling, tree stand, and you're just going to get shoot lane, day's over. That's your deer. He's gone. You need to consider the shots you've had to take or could have taken. And we all agree, if you're very disciplined and you let them go because you know you can't do it, like you did on that elk.
Yeah,
it's the right decision.
It's good. Make
the
those
right
decisions
decision.
as much as you can.
Yeah.
But it's really hard for people to do that because most folks get one chance a year or one chance every 2 or 3 years at a really big buck. And when he gets in there, all reason and logic goes out the window.
Right.
It's like heart pounding, here's the chance. It's dark, it's hard to tell exactly where he's at. He's in the opening and he's gone. So boom, and there's a shot. What the heck even happened? And that's why we shoot these. But
I know I still do that, and I think that most people do, and if they say they don't, they're probably kind of lying to you.
Yeah. Either way, hopefully that helps y'all out. That's our rundown of a bunch of different broadheads and what they work for and what they don't.
Good luck out there.
Good luck out there.
Make the right choices, people.
We're gonna go hunt some pigs. See you guys.